I was born in Zimbabwe. I grew up in Zimbabwe in a village.
You mentioned that you were born in Zimbabwe, and just to make sure that we comply with the constitution, which requires judges to be South African citizens. You are a South African citizen.
I am a South African citizen, CJ.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yes, I am.
When did you acquire that citizenship?
2016, 2017, somewhere thereabout. Right. But having said that, I'm not aware of any matter that I've worked on where there were foreign nationals involved. Maybe they were, but if the papers do not refer to the fact that they're foreign nationals, I have no way of knowing that they are foreign nationals. But what I did indicate in my questionnaire is back in the day, there was a discrimination matter that I was requested to assist with through the SASLO Pro Bono office involving foreign nationals.
Well, in today's video, I bring to you something very, very interesting. South Africans are angry out here because of this Zimbabwean woman who is said she's the best candidate for acquiring a job of being the judge in one of our labor courts. Now, this situation has pissed off a lot of South Africans. South Africans are saying, so the state is really going to neglect all the people who were born in South Africa, who have experience, who can be a judge at the labor court and go and employ a Zimbabwean. So this is a situation that is busy right now, pissing off a lot of South Africans. But I just want to say, this is not a situation that should be pissing off South Africans, because this Zimbabwean woman in question is not an illegal foreigner. She didn't come to South Africa illegally. She's a South African citizen living in South Africa. It's just that she was born in Zimbabwe. Now people are saying, yes, we understand she was born in Zimbabwe, but she only came here in South Africa around 2016, 2017 and acquired her citizenship. So we can't neglect people who were born in South Africa and just choose her. What I want people to understand is that when we are busy fighting foreigners here in South Africa, we are not fighting against legal foreigners. We are not fighting against people from other countries who acquired South African citizenship through the correct channels. Those are not the people we are fighting about, people. We are fighting against illegal immigration. We are fighting against illegal foreigners. We are not against foreigners in general as South Africans. We can't do that. We can't be that kind of nation. We can't fight against someone who has the same ID as you, that is written citizen there. The same ID that you have is the same ID that Zimbabwean woman has. And the same rights that you have as a South African are the same rights that she has as a South African. You get what I'm saying? She's a South African. She's a South African citizen. So people saying the state can't just jump South Africans and go choose a Zimbabwean. It's just a failed logic. Because South Africans are not choosing a Zimbabwean. Yes, she's a Zimbabwean by birth, but South Africa is not choosing a Zimbabwean. It's choosing a South African. You know, and this thing is something that confuses a lot of people, and I always see them on my comment section. As South Africans, when we are busy, even I myself, if you are a follower of my channel here, if you see my videos, I always speak a lot about foreigners and things like that. Don't think maybe I have a problem with foreigners in general. No. That's not the situation in South Africa. In South Africa, we love foreigners. Truly, we love foreigners from other countries who come to South Africa with documents. We love our citizens from other countries, you know, who came from other countries and acquired citizenship here in South Africa, paid for citizenship, all of those things. We love those people because they respect us. They respect our country. They do everything within the laws. Those are not the people we are against, South Africa. The people we are against is these illegal foreigners who are disrespecting us every day, who are killing us, who are selling drugs. Those are the people that we have a problem with. So we can't be this mad because a Zimbabwean-born South African citizen is the most liked candidate for a certain position here in South Africa. We can't fight against that, because what is that going to say about us? Okay, if you are one of the people who are fighting this woman, what if you've been applying for a job and you receive a call right now from Germany and they call you and say you've got a job in Germany, so fix all your documentations and come to Germany. You go to Germany, and then when you go to Germany, you do everything legally. You start loving Germany. You work for 2 years in Germany. You start loving Germany, and you say, you know what, I want to be a citizen here in Germany because I have all my documents and everything. You apply for citizenship in Germany. They tell you that citizenship here in Germany is 5 million rands or $5 million, whatever, and then you pay that 5 million. You acquire citizenship. You are now a German. You are now a German citizen. How are you going to feel? And then after 20 years, people are saying you can't get a job because you were born in South Africa. Even though you have the ID that is the same as theirs, you are a citizen in Germany lawfully. How are you going to feel? You won't feel good, obviously. You won't feel good. So that is not something that we should be doing to other people here in South Africa. Because you don't know life. You might get luck, a chance to go to another country legally and go work there legally, and it won't be nice you losing that job because the people in that country are saying no, the job is supposed to be going to a German citizen, not a South African citizen. When you are now a German citizen, is it going to be nice? It's not going to be nice, truly. So personally, I don't have a problem if this Zimbabwean woman is appointed as a judge in our labor court because she's South African and I speak for South Africans. You know, she didn't come here illegally. She didn't come here jump fences and things like that. No, she came here legally and she respected everything. She acquired citizenship. She's been living in South Africa all these years. She's a South African citizen. And since she's a South African citizen, she has all the rights that you have as a South African citizen. It's as simple as that. But I understand, I understand why people are angry, because right now we are fighting the jobs that should go to South Africans that are occupied by illegal foreigners. Keyword, illegal foreigners, illegal. Those are the people that we are fighting against, and we won't stop fighting against those people. But if we are going to wake up as South Africans and start fighting against foreigners in general, even the ones that are legal, the ones that are citizens, then that thing won't be a very good situation for our country and for us as the citizens, because life doesn't end here. We don't know whether personally I'm going to get a job in another country. I don't know what the future has for me. So I can't be out here fighting against someone from another country who's a South African citizen. That is not the attitude that we should be having. The people that we should be fighting against are these illegal ones. These ones who are working jobs that should go to South Africans. These ones without documents. Those are the people we need to be fighting. But if us as the South African citizens will be out here fighting against another South African citizen, then that is a very big problem. But let me stitch this video for you of the woman from Zimbabwe so that you can listen to her, the way she speaks for herself, the interview, everything that she has to say, her history, where she grew up, how she came to South Africa, and then you will decide whether this woman should be given this job of being the judge in our labor courts, or also you are one of the people who say no, just because she was born in Zimbabwe, she shouldn't get that job even though she's a South African citizen. Or you will tell me if when you're listening to her, is she someone we can trust, give her that kind of power in our courts? Tell me on the comment section down below. But if you just enjoyed this video or you learned something new, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate it. My name is Emmanuel and this is Mzansi Versity, the place where we transform lives through knowledge and information. Let's meet again on another video.
Good morning, Ms. Kanditse.
Morning, Commissioner.
I must say, Ms. Kanditse, your journey is an inspiration to many young women out there. At the age of 46 years, you've already attained so much for yourself. Now, please briefly tell us, who is Mr. Piwa Cecilia Kanditse, starting from your childhood ages?
Starting from my childhood age, so I was born in Zimbabwe. I grew up in Zimbabwe in a village. And then went to boarding school for my high school, and then went to Fort Hare University tertiary education in 1998. Yeah, I don't know whether that covers what you want me to cover in your question, but in a nutshell, I come from very humble upbringing, and I've heard to work my way up to be where I am today. I don't know if that answers the question.
No, I think I'm happy with your response.
Thank
At
you.
least we do have the gist now.
Thank
Who
you.
are you? Now, my next question will then be, by its nature, the labor disputes are adversarial, but alternative dispute resolutions mechanism, like the mediation and arbitration, they do play a crucial role in the labor law. How do you see the role of the labor court judge in promoting effective dispute resolution beyond litigations?
Yes, I do think that as labor court judges, we definitely do have a role to play, and I will speak from experience. I've heard files before me, and I go through the files, and I go through the issues, and I then say to the parties, it seems to me that the real issue is actually issue X, and it seems to me that if the parties can go down the passage and have a conversation about it, you're actually able to resolve the matter. And in my experience, that has actually worked. Parties come back to me and say, thank you, Judge. We've actually had a discussion about what you proposed, and we've resolved the matter. Mediation, I know it's not provided for in the Act, as I can recall. I think that's a function that's offered by the CCMA. But I do know from many years back, when I was involved in some strike-related disputes, that we would appear before a judge in the labor court, and the judge would propose that the parties explore mediation before resorting to litigation, and it worked in some of those cases. So I think mediation definitely has a role to play in resolving labor disputes.
No, thank you very much, CJ. No follow-up
Thank you,
questions.
Commissioner. You mentioned that you were born in Zimbabwe, and just to make sure that we comply with the Constitution, which
Yes.
requires judges to be South African citizens, you are a South African citizen.
I am a South African citizen, CJ.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
thought so.
Yes, I am.
When did you acquire that citizenship?
2016, 2017, somewhere thereabout.
Thank you, Ms. Gandhi.
Thank you.
President Mulemela.
Thank you, CJ. Good morning, Ms. Kandize.
Good morning, President.
Have you ever been in a situation where you were involved in a review application and discovered that the record was incomplete? And if that is the case, how did you deal with it?
Yes, President, I know that there was a time when the case authority suggested that if an applicant places or asks for a review application to be enrolled in circumstances where the record is incomplete, there was a time when the approach of the labor court used to be to just dismiss the matter. But I do know that with the practice manual from 2013, there were then provisions in the manual to the effect that if the record is incomplete, then the judge president can be approached for directions on how the matter must be dealt with. If it's possible to reconstruct the record, that's an option that can also be explored. But if the record is necessary for purposes of deciding the review and it cannot be reconstructed, then there are matters where matters that have been remitted to the CCMA or the Bargaining Council. So when you ask about my experience, I do know that I think last year, 2024, I had a matter before me where the record could not be reconstructed at all, and the issues that were raised in the review application required me to have regard to what was in the record, and I then remitted the matter back to the CCMA for a fresh hearing.
Or for a fresh hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, sorry, CJ, just a follow-up. And what would you do if only part of the record is missing, not the entire record?
So, President, it depends on the issues on review. If it's an issue that you can decide based on the record that's before you, then I would decide the matter based on that record that is before the court. But if I'm not able to decide the grounds for review based on the record that's before court, then I would first prize ask the parties to see if they can reconstruct the record. And if that is not possible, then I will consider remitting the matter to the CCMA or the bargaining council. So the answer is it depends on the issue. There are some issues that you are able to decide on review without a record, but there are some issues where your decision has to be supported by what is in the record. Good morning, Commissioner.
Just one question. Where, for instance, the court, the labor court, finds that a hopeless case is being pursued, especially by those who are in the senior echelons of state administration, and that weighs very heavily on their juniors. And the court arrives at that determination. Do you think that it is justified that the court can order that the cost must be borne by those that pursued that hopeless case? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. The answer is definitely, and especially where people are legally represented, and they still insist on having a matter litigated, which a court describes as hopeless. I've got no question, I've got no doubt in my mind that people must be penalized with court orders to discourage other litigants from pursuing hopeless cases.
Commissioner Hassan?
Thank you very much, CJ. My name is Commissioner Fasiya Hassan.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. I have a different question. In your papers, you spoke a lot about your extracurriculars and work outside of the legal fraternity, related to you being the chair of the Cape Town Rape Crisis Center, as well as mentoring a young black woman attorney. So I'm just interested if you could maybe expatiate on some of this work around gender empowerment and some of your activism work more broadly, and how it positively or negatively may affect your role as a potential judge in this particular labor court. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for that question. I must say it's a question that I always anticipate when I sit in these matters. But I can assure you that I've probably written 3 or 4 judgments on sexual harassment matters. When I look at the matters and I write the judgments, I write the judgments based on what the facts tell me and what the law tells me. And I think of the 4 judgments that I have written, there's one involving the department, I think it's Home Affairs, where an employee was dismissed for sexual harassment, and I came in and I said, it's understandable why a commissioner would find that the employee was involved in sexual harassment, but taking into account the facts of the matter and the circumstances under which the conduct complained about had occurred, I was of the view that the employee could be given a final written warning and return to work. And obviously, when I wrote the judgment, I was very much alive to the fact that the department might not be happy about the conclusion that I had arrived at, because there's, in my view, a misunderstanding that every case involving sexual harassment must be met with a sanction of dismissal. And I expressed a view in that matter that is not so. You must always be guided by the facts of the matter that's before you. So yes, I am an activist, but at the same time, I know I'm a lawyer at heart. And when I sit in these matters deciding which way to go, I apply the law, and I leave my activism at the door, so to speak.
Commissioner Moiman?
Thank you.
Fortune of being assigned to, during your clerkship, to work with the late Mr. Tim Mills.
Yes.
What motivated you to mention this, and what was the most beneficial experience of working with him?
Yes, so Mr. Mills is the director that I worked with when I was at Cliff Decker doing my articles, and I think the first 6 months I was allocated to him. It was, for me, just such a pleasure working with him. It wasn't just work, it was work and playing. He gave me opportunities to draft papers. He sent me to court with counsel. He sent me to consultations with clients, and I could see that he genuinely believed in my abilities to be able to do the task at hand. And obviously after the first 6 months, I then moved on to the other departments, but I wished I could go back to him. And I guess I can say maybe that's when my love for labor law developed, because I really enjoyed working with him. And I must say, when I was interviewed at CTH, they wanted to see if I was capable of drafting, if I drafted any heads, if I drafted any affidavits. And I just went back to the documents that I had drafted in the first 6 months of my articles with Mr. Tim Mills and presented those to them at Chiddles, and they were convinced that I was capable of doing the job of a labor attorney. So, yeah, he left an impression on me, and yeah.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Thank you.